I swapped my £150 Vauxhall Astra for this. A 2005 Volkswagen Golf GT TDI that I think we can all agree has definitely seen better days. Not only that, but after driving this car home over 3 hours, I managed to blow the turbo up completely. Oh, yeah, the turbo. This is my second car of this series in hopes of one day trading my way up to owning my first ever supercar. But at the moment, I've hit a little bit of a dead end. In the last episode, I set myself the goal of replacing the turbo myself on the driveway with zero experience and basic tools. I also installed this GTI front end just to give the car a new lease of life. But after finishing the turbo installation, I quickly realised the car wasn't working or driving as it should. Oh my god, I think the turbo's just blown. Which has left me with this car stuck on my driveway in limp mode with no power whatsoever. But I'm hoping that we can get the tools back out and try and find the reason as to why this car isn't working. And by the end of the video, I'm going to have this problem ticked off my list and I'm going to start modifying this car. I'm pretty sure I've done everything correct, but at the moment I've not even got an engine warning light on the dashboard to tell me as to why I've got no boost. All I've got at the minute is a car that smokes and has no power. So I guess I better start with the obvious and start retracing the steps that I took to change this turbo in hopes of finding something that I might have missed along the way, but I'm not very hopeful. I think the most obvious thing to check first of all is all of these vacuum hoses that come off this valve, because these are a typical problem with these Volkswagens that can either go perished, they can split, or one of them might have even just popped off. I can clearly see that this one is on properly. This is the one that obviously goes to the intake box, and I can see down here that the one going to the EGR is also in place, which leaves one more that I unplugged, which is the one that goes to the actuator located down the back of the engine under the turbo that you can see here is actually plugged in. The next thing would be to check all of the intercooler hoses. I took the ones off on the left side of the intercooler and I also took the ones off on the right. If it isn't any of them, then I guess I'm just going to have to retrace every single step I've done and make sure every single bolt on the manifold, on the EGR, on the EGR cooler and everything is all connected up properly. I'm not very hopeful. I think I might have a bigger issue on my hands, but it's worth a try. So first I'm going to check all the ones on the driver's side, which all seem perfectly fine. They're all in place, I can't pull them out, they seem a-okay. Now I'm going to move to the passenger side. I'm just going to do the same thing, checking all the intercooler pipes, making sure that they are secure and can't pop off. And then I found this. Oh my god, it's an intercooler pipe. It's the intercooler pipe on this side. It's completely hanging off. It's hanging off. That's the problem. That's why I've got no boost at all. Wait, that's literally the problem. That is literally it. I'm not gonna lie, normally when I get an issue, I'm a very unlucky person, so it seems to be the worst possible scenario that I end up encountering. But that intercooler pipe is definitely not connected properly. So I better take the wheel off, the arch lining off, just so I can get to it, plug it back in, and I'm going to take it for a drive again and see if it's worked. Safe to say that intercooler pipe is definitely not connected. Yeah, I think that is definitely going to be the answer to our problems. I must have just not properly connected this. So let me get this back in place and then we'll go take the car for a drive again and hope that that has sorted it. The rest of the intercooler pipes are in place, all the vacuum lines are in place. This should be the fix. So I'm going to do my best to get this intercooler pipe back in place without it popping off as soon as the car comes into boost. But I know that these clips on Volkswagen intercoolers can be a little bit temperamental. Okay, that is definitely on this time. We can put all this back together and take it for a drive and hope that this time it actually boosts. So I'm just going to get all the arch lining back in with these little torque screws, and the one thing left to do now is cross my fingers and put my foot down. Here goes nothing. This time the turbo is actually going to work, so if anything's gonna fail, it's gonna be now. Let's see. Here we go. Well, it's not coughing and splutting anymore. There's loads of smoke again. I'm going to ignore the smoke because that could be just from the old turbo very easily. So I'm going to ignore that for now. But, I mean, I don't even think I've got boost. Oh, it's smoking its head off. Yeah, I've got no boost again. Oh my God.
And once again, I had no luck. But I got back to the driveway and I found some fault codes on the car stored from when that boost pipe did actually pop off. So what I'm going to do is clear them and just take it for a drive and hope that maybe it's took it out of limp mode and will now work.
Please boost. Please boost, car. Oh my God, we've got power. Oh, I think it's just blown off again. I think the boost pipe's just blown off again, but we did have boost. We literally had boost then. So I think my problem is just that intercooler pipe, which is not the end of the world. That is not the end of the world. Obviously the smoke is going to be from the old turbo, but a boost pipe coming off isn't the end of the world. I don't know why it keeps coming off. Maybe I need to order a new one. I'm not sure. Let me just check that boost pipe's definitely just come off. But if it has, then okay. I think we're going to be all right. I just need to try and find a way of making sure that boost pipe doesn't pop off. Although I don't know why it keeps popping the boost pipe off. Either way, we did have boost then. Like, that did actually work. All I've got to do now is see if that boost pipe's popped off again, which I'm hoping it has. If it hasn't, then we've got a big problem.
So once again, I took the car back to the driveway in hopes that I'd find this boost pipe popped off again.
Yeah. That has popped off again, right. So, if I can keep that boost pipe on, then I think this is going to be all right. Let me find a solution. Okay, that really isn't the end of the world. If that boost pipe is the only problem that I'm going to have to face, and that is it, the turbo is all done and sorted, then I am very, very happy. I don't know why it keeps popping itself off. It's probably just one of them typical PD 140 things, Volkswagen horrible winter cooler clips. And I just need to find a way of sorting it out. I don't want to do the self-tapper route, but I may just have to get this sorted. Let's jack it all back up again and see what we can actually do of getting that boost pipe to stay on the intercooler.
So I'm going to jack the car back up, take the wheel off and address this boost pipe. The only thing now, I'm getting pretty nervous because if this boost pipe stays on and I still get the problem, we've really got a big issue on our hands.
I know exactly what the problem is. It is suffering with that typical Volkswagen crappy clips. The clip is fully secured on and the intercooler pipe is fully secured into the intercooler, and I can just pull it straight off. It's literally not holding it down whatsoever, and in fact I can push it all the way back in. So I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of solution of, I think it's this part here that's just after time just ground down to nothing, but I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of solution of getting this pipe to stay in that intercooler. This has left me with two options. One of them is a lot better than the other. The first one is we could go out and order one of these intercooler pipes and it will solve the problem. We'll just be able to put this clip back in and it will work all good. The only issue with that is I'm going to have to wait for it to arrive online. Today's Tuesday, it'll probably arrive maybe Thursday, Friday. So that's the whole week with the car stuck on the driveway again, waiting for one single part. Option two involves this drill and these self-tapping screws. So I'm going to put 2 self-tapping screws in this intercooler pipe for now, just to get this car back on the driveway. And if that works, happy days. If not, in the future I can always order an aftermarket silicone hose that goes around the intercooler pipe instead of into it, and then clamp it myself. So I'm going to put 2 self-tapping screws in it and test that it works. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't the most ideal scenario, but I mean, it's not coming out. Let's get it back together and let's test it for the 3rd time. Come on, Golf, come on, please. If it was just an intercooler pipe, I can cope with that. That's absolutely fine, not a problem at all. Yes, there's only one way of finding out. Not popped off. Loads of smoke again. But I mean, I think that's working. I think we've fixed it. I actually think we've fixed the Golf.
But of course, nothing I do ever goes to plan or is ever a simple fix. On the way back down my road, the car once again went into limp mode and had no power whatsoever. I did make sure that I'd cleared the fault codes before I tested it, but for some reason, the car's still gone back into limp mode. I think I need to just slow down and start going through the process of elimination. I took it for a drive then and that did not work. It started spluttering again as if that boost pipe had come off. I have checked the one that I've double bolted in and it hasn't come off, so unless it's another intercooler hose, then I'm actually not sure what the problem could be. One thing I haven't checked though is the air filter. That could well be clogged up with loads of oil, so I'm just going to quickly take that air filter out and replace it for a new one in hopes that maybe that would sort it. I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm running out of options as to why this car keeps messing up. The air filter was perfectly clean and had no issues with it whatsoever. Well, that's definitely nothing to do with the problem, because that is quite literally brand new. So that can go straight back where it came from. Right, we carry on. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm thinking that maybe this car has beat me and my ability of working on cars. So the only thing left to do is actually check the turbo itself by taking off the intake pipe and actually feeling the propeller that's in the turbo, just to make sure it's free spinning and hasn't snapped or seized. And as you can see, it's absolutely fine. The turbo is doing exactly what it should be doing. It's not leaking oil, it's not starved of oil, it's getting air, and it is still free spinning as it should. So as I was about to give up hope and just pack my tools away, I walked past the car and noticed something a little bit weird. I'm going to have to just quickly look back on some footage, because have a look at this. That would be 100% the reason why it's spluttering its head off. But I was changing, in fact you might not even be able to see it in the footage. No, I don't think you're going to be able to see it, look. It's right there. That will be the problem. a big problem as to why it can't get no air to it, because it's not even plugged in. And what I've noticed is that is another one of the ones that I did unplug when I was getting this EGR pipe back in. I did unplug that one and put it in myself, so I'm wondering whether it's the ones that I've been touching that haven't just been seated properly. That makes sense. That actually makes sense. I was just sat on the floor sulking, weren't I? Because I couldn't fix it. And I was at that point where I was like, well, I literally do not know what this could be now. So, well, that is it. No, how did I miss that? There's no way I missed that. I took all these screws off. I literally took this out. How did I even miss that? Well, that clip is now as secure as I can kind of get it. I think it's safe to say I'm going to need a new like C-clip to make sure that that does definitely stay in place. But I can now take it on another drive just to test if that's worked. If it hasn't, then I'm just going to go ahead and buy a new clip, and at least I know that will be the problem. But for now, I'm going to take it up the road, take it back down, and if it does do the same thing and that's popped off, at least we know that is definitely the issue. Let's drive it again. Right, we've got power again. We've got power. It's holding power. It's working! F***ing yes! We've done it, boys. We've actually done it, I think. Has this worked, or am I just jumping to conclusions? We've got power, boys! We've got power. It's actually working. It's actually working. It's smoking its head off because obviously there's loads of oil still in the DPF and everything, but it's holding boost and we have got power. Yes, man. Yes. Yes. We've fixed the Golf. We've literally, I fixed it. I've fixed the Golf. Yes. 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 The amount of sleepless nights I had over this problem, you wouldn't even believe. When you do something yourself on your car, it is the most rewarding feeling you can think of. I decided to then take it for a drive and actually put my foot down and see how good this car actually pulls. Well, as you can see, we are finally back out in the Mark 5 Golf, and I've got to be honest, it's quite nippy, this thing, to be fair. I think it's already been mapped. There's still a little bit of smoke to burn off, don't get me wrong. I'm probably annoying quite a few people with the smoke that's coming out the back of this, but what can you do? This is the joys of fixing things yourself. Honestly, I'm proud as punch that we've managed to get this sorted. We've got no lights on the dash except the fuel light, no lights on the dashboard. We've got boost, we're holding boost, and the Golf's back driving. Yes! Let me just point out as well, when I first passed my test, I literally had no idea how to use a ratchet. I mean, I still couldn't tell you exactly how a combustion engine works. All I do know is that I'll put my heart into something and I won't give up until it is fixed. And that is all I do on this channel. I'm not a mechanic. I couldn't tell you how things actually work. I just make them work. And that is literally what I've done with this car. And we're back on the road, having swapped an entire turbo, and everything's working. Oh man, yes, yes. Well, now that the Volkswagen Golf is all back up and running, I think it makes perfect sense to start doing a few upgrades to this car to make it that a little bit better for the person that decides to swap with me. And to start with, I think I've got the perfect mod. So, I decided to get some new wheels. With these wheels that we've got on, they are 16-inch. They've got a huge, horrible, chunky tyre on the side, and I just think they let the whole car down. They're all stained in brake dust. They're all curbed, and they just don't suit the car or complement the car whatsoever. So I put a story on my Instagram, and one of you guys actually offered me these for as little as £30. Shout out to Charlie, he sorted me these out, and I think they're going to look absolutely amazing on this Golf. I think they're from an Audi TT, he said. So up against the Golf, I think they're going to look pretty good. But there's one little problem. 2 out of these 4 wheels have got good tyres on them, but the other 2, one of them has started to wear on the inside edge and the other one has got a completely different size on it. So we need to get that sorted. Now, there's not many garages that I trust working on my cars. Even though this isn't my pride and joy, I do want it to be safe on the road. So I'm going to head to ETS, who are going to swap them tyres over for some brand spanking new ones so we can get the wheels installed on the Golf. Let's go. And I can't deny it feels absolutely amazing to be driving this Golf out and about with it actually working as it should. So we took it straight to ETS, where the guys down here are going to supply some brand new Zeta tyres to put on these new alloys so we can get them installed on the Golf. The lads are going to take the old tyres off, swap them over to the new Zeta ones, and then we're ready to pull the Golf in and actually get them fitted and see what they're going to look like. These are a lot wider than the ones that are on the car, so I'm hoping they're the perfect fitment.
And that is 4 fresh wheels with fresh tyres on them. Big thank you to obviously ETS and Zeta for providing the tyres. The boys down here are going to get them swapped over for the nice shiny new ones, and that is going to look 10 times better.
Now, before I show you exactly what they look like, I just want to give a massive thank you to ETS for always helping out with these videos by supplying and fitting things for my cars, and of course Zeta tyres for supplying the tyres for the Golf. Without them, all this wouldn't be possible, so I'll leave both their links in the description down below. Please check them out and support the people that support me. Now let me show you what they look like.
And that is the Golf looking 100 times better than when we got it. Although we haven't done loads to this car, it has undergone a proper transformation compared to when we actually went and got it. The bumper is looking far better than the original one. The wheels are looking far better than the ones that came on this car, which now leaves us with a few bits left to do to this Golf before we can actually move it on and swap it. Of course, we're going to have to get this bonnet sorted with the lacquer peel. I can't give it to one of you guys without that being sorted. The wing mirrors, of course, they're going to need re-lacquering or respraying. I'm not actually sure. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know whether to just leave it and let the next person sort it, or get that sorted myself and make it look at least somewhat presentable. But with that being said, I think we should head back to the driveway because I've bought a few little upgrades that I want to install to this car. The first one is one I've been meaning to do ever since I actually got my hands on this car. And I think if you look at the back, it's pretty obvious as to what it is. And for those that guessed it correctly, yes, it is a wiper delete. I have been known on YouTube for apparently being the king of wiper deletes, because every single car I've ever owned has always ended up with a wiper delete. So we've got a wiper delete bung from Charlie, who actually sorted us out with these wheels, that we can take this wiper motor out and put that bung in, and it will give it like a flush kind of glass look, and we won't have this horrible little needle thing sticking out. So let's get this motor out.
To get access to the motor, I've got to take off this rear plastic that covers all the electrics behind the boot. There's 2 screws in the handles, and this just pulls straight off. Then there's 3 bolts holding on the wiper motor. I can unplug it, unplug the hose, and that's the wiper motor completely out. Now I can just put a bolt into that hose and blank it off, just in case I ever did activate the rear wiper, so it doesn't spray water all over the interior. Now I can get some silicone out, put it around this wiper bung, put it in place, and then start getting everything back together. And as easy as that, that's the wiper delete done.
And that is one wiper delete all installed. Now there's a lot of mixed opinions on rear wiper deletes, but I think they give the rear end just that symmetrical look, and I just think it makes everything else look like it kind of isn't off balance when you've not got a big massive wiper on one side of the car. I think that looks way better. Now the next thing I want to do to this car is an upgrade and also a repair at the same time, and it comes in this little box from Amazon. These are actually number plate LEDs, which I think make the car look way more modern, especially when you're following it at night time. And like I say, the left one on this car at the moment is faulty and doesn't work, so by replacing it with these, we're upgrading it and also fixing it for the next owner. These come with these little adapters and stuff, and they're really bright at night time. You can read the number plate really clearly, and also it just, like I say, makes the car look way more modern from behind and just gives it kind of that new lease of life. So let's get these old ones off and replace it with these new ones.
So to get these out, there's literally 2 Phillips head screws holding each of them in. All you have to do is undo them, pop them out of place, and we can replace them with the new LED ones. This is just one of them cheap little mods that makes a huge difference, and as you can see, they look pretty good. Well, personally, I know it's not a massive modification, but it's one of them little things that makes the biggest difference. The only problem is now, it's lighting up a plate that isn't from Reg Plate King. So that is something that we definitely need to take care of. But we'll get that done at the end of the video. We'll head up to Sheffield and get a brand new spanking shiny set of number plates for this Golf, so the next owner has got a fresh set of number plates. For now, we've got another little upgrade to do to this Golf. Now, this next one is one of the modifications that most BMW drivers will never have to do, and it involves these indicators right here. As you can see, they're, well, very dull. I mean, you can barely even see them, can you? No. Like, they're literally like almost invisible. We're obviously going to get these wing mirror caps sorted out, but for now, what I've gone and bought is just some, oh, some in a nice shiny box. Oh, and we've got an Allen key. Tell you now, Amazon. Well, that's one broke anyway. Actually come with a tool and a, well, a plastic removal tool and an Allen key. What we've actually got is something that I did on my Mark V GTI, which is these are actually dynamic indicators. So instead of just flashing like these ones that you can barely see, they actually swoop and kind of load as they go. So we're going to replace these horrible old ones for these ones. These are actually tinted as well, so it kind of fits in nicely with the rest of the car. So we're going to get these off and replace them with these. These are quite fiddly to actually take apart. There's multiple components to one of these wing mirrors. You've got to start by getting off the actual wing mirror cap, then there's this little surround, then there's this little plastic part connecting to the indicator. You've got to disconnect all of that and then unplug the old indicator and just do everything in reverse order and put it back together. Here's a little before, and here's what they look like after. Another one of them cheap mods that don't break the bank, that actually are quite effective. I'm just going to quickly do the passenger side and move on to what we've got to do next. I think we can all agree that this car is looking way better than it did when we swapped it for the Vauxhall Astra. The only thing we've got left to do now is head to Reg Plate King and swap out these horrible old plates for some fresh new ones. Reg Plate King is about 40 minutes away from where I live, so I guess it gives us a good test to see if we have fully fixed this Golf and if it makes it there and back. If it does, I think we're ready for the next car. Well, this Golf is proving me bit by bit that it's actually fixed and is going to be a reliable car. It has made it down to Reg Plate King where we can go inside, make some new plates for it and actually freshen up how this Golf is going to look. The first step is picking out all the characters for the number plate. I've decided to go with gel because they're my favourite style. Then I'm going to get them actually on the number plates, and I decided to add my own little touch just to make them that little bit more unique. Now obviously I've gone for the gel style because this is my personal favourite, but as you can see here at Reg Plate King, they literally do every single style or size, literally whatever you can imagine. Thicker letters, thinner letters, 4D gel, 3D gel, borders, you name it, Reg Plate King do it. So if you do want to get yourself a set of number plates just like mine, hit the links in the description and use the discount code J3ESE to get yourself a nice little bit of discount off. Let's get these on the Golf. That looks 100 times better. You honestly cannot go wrong with putting a fresh set of plates on any car. I think it just makes it look way, way more modern. Let's head home, and I think, well, I've got something to talk about with this car because I'm not sure what the next move is. And I think I've got to ask you guys what you want to see. Well, the Golf has made it back all round 3-hour trip, so I'm going to call this car 100% fixed. It pulls really well. It's actually quite fast. Now, it just leaves me with one question for you guys. You guys have shown so much support on this £150 series so far that I want you guys to be involved with it. What I want to know is what you guys want to see me do with this Golf. Shall we leave it as it is and swap it on and move on as soon as possible for something else? Or shall I keep it a bit longer, maybe get another video out of it, do some maybe bigger mods, and then swap it on? It is entirely up to you guys. So let me know what you want to see down below in the comments. I love involving you guys because you've been absolutely loving this series so far. But with that being said, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.
You wear a hat they call dad. Me, I'm the dad in a hat. You just like clubbing and clothes. Me, I like afternoon naps. 3, I be missed for the road. My oldest like counting racks. My middle one, she's in a dirt bike. My youngest is just like a mama.